Now, my beautiful, beautiful beings, before you come into life, you get to choose your avatar. You get to choose your parents, the people that raise you, so that you can have a specific human experience. Now, perhaps your soul, your path, this information doesn't resonate with you yet, and that is okay. And if it never resonates with you, that is fine too. We are each here on different paths, and no path is better than another. Always remember that. The person that is successful and lives in a mansion, their path is no better than the homeless person asking for scraps on the sidewalk. They're different paths. The experience is completely different. The lessons learned, the information gained, the wisdom that we get out of those two different experiences is completely different. Perhaps the homeless person has already been the rich one in many, many, many lifetimes, and they're done with that experience. So what does it feel like to have no possessions and live day by day just asking for food and water? What does that feel like? So, my beautiful beings, the analogy that came through that I wanted to share because I was so excited. The video game one was one that came through, I think, in You Can Change Your Past. I'd already seen it. One day I was going in, my daughter taught me how to play Fortnite a few years ago. I'm trying to think now. It's been 5 years ago. She was tiny when we started playing, but she'd already been playing with friends, and so she was showing me how to play. And at the time, I was just learning the game to play with her. This was something that we were doing. When I was young, we used to play card games. We didn't have video games. But I thought this is what she loves doing, and so I was learning so that I could play with her. And we've had so much fun. We'd stay up some nights during the holidays. We'd be up till 1, 2 in the morning, laughing and carrying on about the games that we were playing, And just funny stories that I was sharing on Friday was the first time I went in and she died in the game. And she's saying to me, "Mom, get the reboot card." And I'm standing there because I've never played a game where there's such a thing as a reboot card. So I'm yelling at her, "What's a reboot card?" Because she was yelling at me. She was all panicked that I had to get her reboot card. And I'm like, "What's a reboot card?" And she says, "Follow that blue thing on the screen," and I'm like, okay. So I'm following where she's pointing on my screen that I had to walk there, and then I could see. I'm like, oh, okay. So by the time I picked up her reboot card, I was shot. I'm like, oh, okay. Lesson learned. A few games later, she dies again. "Mom, get my reboot card." Okay, I'm on it. So I'm following the little blue thing on the screen like she taught me. I get to the reboot card, and then she says to me, "Mom, take it to the reboot van." And so, of course, she's yelling at me because we're running out of time. And I'm like, "What's the reboot van?" And so, then the third time, and she's yelling at me, "You're such a noob." And I'm like, "I know, you're supposed to be teaching me." And that further on, she's teaching me about the storm circle and stay within this, outside of the storm. And I'm like, "What's the storm circle? What is this? What are you talking about?" So it took months and months to get the idea, how to play this game. And sometimes to this day, I'll jump in just for fun to unplug, from this world, It's just fun. It's a virtual reality game, not virtual reality, but for me, it's like I jump into a different world, and I love the colors and I love everything about it, and there's just so many things to do. I had to learn how to build, and then there's quests, so I've had so much fun doing that with her. But one day I remember I was writing You Can Change Your Past. I'm pretty sure it's in there. And it hit me. Just as I go into the game, every time I go into the game, I choose my avatar. I get to choose what I look like when I go into the game. And I just received this massive download that morning. That life is just like that. You choose your body, your vessel, whether you're going to be male or female, because they're the two options when we come in, when we're born. And then You choose your parents. You choose everything, the color of your eyes, the color of your hair. You choose where you're going to land, which is what we do in the game. You've got this huge map and you jump out of a bus. And as you're floating there in the air, you choose where you're going to land on the map. And some places on the map are more hostile than others. Just like Earth. Some places we come in and they're at war. And some places you come in and it's peaceful and it's quiet. So I just had this moment that morning as I was writing of how similar life is to that video game. Choosing the avatar, choosing your parents. In the game you don't choose your parents, but you do have a squad. You had squad members that you work together. And you can choose them. If you have friends on your list, you choose your friends and you already have the 4 people lined up. Or 3 people or 2. Most of the games with my daughter, we were playing duos. It was just the 2 of us. Because she didn't want to follow anyone else around. You know, we just wanted to do our own thing. There were so many games where we would win and all she did was build the whole time we were there. Like, she'd collect everything and then I would just sit there and I'd watch her and all she'd do is build, build, build. We'd spend the whole game building. And then for some odd reason, you know, the last people that were left died in the storm and we never got to kill anybody. It'd be like, what happened? And we won. It was so funny. But you should go in to do different things. You know, the last few games that she has come in with me, she decided she wanted to do a stair luge, you know, and we'd get these ice feet and she'd be like, you know, slipping everywhere. It was just so funny. But she gets these things into her head that this is what she wants to do in that game and we just do that just for fun and it doesn't matter. You know, we're not attached to the outcome of the game. That's what I love about playing with her. She doesn't care about winning or losing and I've always been like that as well with games. I don't care about winning or losing. I just enjoy the fun of the journey of the game. Whatever that looks like, you know, the interaction that you have with the people you're playing with. That to me is what matters when I'm playing a game. It's not about, you know, whether at the end I win or I don't. And most of the time with Fortnite, for me, it's about completing the quest. I don't care if I get shot in the first 5 minutes, as long as I get to complete what I went in for, you know. And so that is the beauty of that game. That's what that gave me, that knowledge of, oh, this is life. We choose our avatar, we choose our vessel, what it's going to look like down to the last detail. And then we jump in and we decide where on the map, where on the earth are we going to go? Are we going to have this life? And then when we die at the end, however that happens, you know, like that time we were building with my daughter and all of a sudden it's a victory royale and we're sitting there going, what happened? We didn't even get to shoot anybody. And then it was just such a funny game because she's like, oh, Mummy, I have to practice my building. I'm like, okay, let's do the building then. So I was building on one side, just playing around, doing ramps and all this other stuff. And she was building, I don't know what she was building, but it was this huge monstrosity of a building in the end. And she was practicing putting in windows and doors and all this other stuff. It was so funny. But that's the thing. Perhaps you go into this life and you last 5 minutes. Perhaps you come in and you last 20 minutes, like in the game. And then you die. And then you get to choose all over again. Do we want the same avatar? Do we want a different avatar? But before we go in, the soul has already chosen the quest. What it is that it wants to experience. That is the magic of this life. And when we judge that it was bad and we judge that it was wrong, we're not seeing the truth of it. We're not seeing it through the eyes of the love that we are. We're seeing it through our human eyes. That is the experience we came to have. And it's not right or wrong. If you're still looking at it and feeling that it was bad, that it was wrong, that's okay too. You're still engrossed in your human experience. But this was the beautiful analogy that came through as we were putting together the self-love course these last few days. What I was given, for me, was gold. My husband and my daughter love playing VR. They've been playing VR, virtual reality, for those who don't know. I'm trying to think now, for the past 3 or 4 years, since it came out. My husband loves technology. Anything that's new, he's into it. And he's a big gamer as well, but he's more into Battlefield, those sorts of war games. He loves those. I find those too realistic, and I don't like them. I prefer, like Fortnite, that you look like little cartoons going in, and I find it more fun. For me, Anyway, they love doing the VR, the virtual reality. And the analogy I was given was this. They have invited me a few times to play this virtual reality, and I'm not a big fan. I prefer the computer and just, But what I remember from the times I've been in there is that you put on the headset. Okay, so first, I'm standing in my living room in front of, the big TV that we have there. We have to move all the furniture to make space. It's a small living room, but, unless you're bumping into furniture, you're fine. For those of you who know about virtual reality. So we move all the furniture, and I'm standing in the living room in reality, in this reality. This is the analogy. My body never leaves the living room. And then I put on that VR headset. And for those of you who have done this, what happens? All of a sudden, you're immersed in a completely new world. I think one of the worlds that they took me in was like a forest. I'm trying to think of it was a warrior. It was a game that we were playing, but I was in this forest. And as you get immersed in it and your eyes are looking at it, you're completely unaware that you're still in the living room. And as you start to walk around and you start to move, you bump into furniture, and there's the reminder, oh, that's right, my body is still in the living room. But you're not. You're submerged into this new reality. Your mind believes that it is in this whole new world. And that is what life is. We are spirit in human form. I say this all the time. You are spirit. You have a soul that is always connected to spirit. It never disconnects, even though in this reality we feel so separate from spirit and from everything else. So imagine now your soul, and imagine now it's connected to spirit. So imagine your soul is your body, and imagine that spirit is that living room. And your soul is always held by spirit. It is always held by that living room. And to have this gorgeous human experience, we put on that VR headset. And we are completely engrossed in this human experience. And sometimes we bump into the furniture of that living room and we are reminded, oh, that's right. This isn't real. I am spirit in human form. It was such a beautiful analogy. The moment I received it, I knew in my heart, this is how it works. This is how it works. How beautiful. Our soul is always held by spirit, always, in every moment. It is never separate. And to have this human experience, our soul has put on this VR headset, and before it comes in, just like with Fortnite, I remember in some of the games, you would put on the VR headset and you would have to choose your avatar. You got to choose, okay, I want to be this person. And you would choose what part of the game you wanted to come into. You'd have a map. And it wasn't until I was doing that beautiful course, the self-love course, that came through. And in that moment, I knew this is it. This is what life is. That virtual reality headset makes it feel so real when you're in there. It feels so real. For those of you who've done the VR, you know exactly what I mean. And for those of you who haven't, we would invite you to try it. Please try it. And you will know exactly what we're talking about today. Your soul is always held by spirit. It's always connected. It never separates for one moment. And before, even though I would say those words, I couldn't visually see it until that moment. How beautiful. And then we choose what it is that we want to experience. This is what life is. It is a simulation. But it is so beautiful. You get to experience all these things that in spirit form is impossible. You can't experience it without this vessel that we've been given, without this body. To be able to feel the wind, the breeze on your skin, to be able to smell the scent of a rose, of a flower, to feel the rain as it falls down on you, to feel a hug when you love someone and you wrap your arms around them and they wrap their arms around you, and your heart feels like it's going to explode. This is what we're doing here. But we're also here for everything. What does it feel like when someone hurts you? What does it feel like when someone makes you feel less than or not good enough for them? What is that experience? What does it feel like to spend your entire adult life feeling that you're not loved? What does that feel like? We're not just here for the beautiful moments, for the things that make us feel good. We're here for all of it. All of it. This is the human experience, and all of it is sacred, and all of it is divine. We love you dearly, and we hope that this has opened your eyes a little bit to your life and how precious it is. We love you guys. Remember to click like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the messages. And share these beautiful videos. Who knows who may need this message today. Bye for now.